Ladies and gentlemen, Rob Jolles.
I believe whenever you step up here, in one sentence, I ought to be able to tell you what we're going to do. I don't care whether I'm talking for 5 minutes or 5 hours. So I'm going to give it to you in one sentence, and here it is. I think the definition of selling is the art of taking an idea, planting that idea in somebody else's brain, and making them feel like they thought of it. I'll say it again. Taking an idea, planting it in somebody else's brain, and making them feel like they thought of it. And now you see why the first thing we're going to do out of the gate is we're going to talk about the difference between influence and manipulation. Because that one worries me a little bit. And yet, I'm going to fight for it for 2 hours up here. So we're going to talk about that. We get done with that, we're going to talk about the decision cycle. I'm going to show you exactly how people make decisions. I'll show you the decision points. I want to get your buy-in on that one. Because once we do that, then we're going to back up. And we're going to talk about style a little bit. One of my concerns is guys like me will blow onto a stage and boom, we'll talk about selling and styles, and we don't really even address it. Selling, selling, selling. Well, I'm looking at 250 people. And I'm guessing there's probably 245 different styles in here. How does that play out? Can anybody sell? It's a style issue. Let's put that one to rest, and we will. Then we'll turn our target to two things. Just two things I want today. One, I want to talk about trust. Now, Mike told you he met me at Xerox. Nutty company. You don't tie your shoe with Xerox without some kind of process. But the funny thing about having a process is when you have a process, you have a way of measuring what you're doing. And when you can measure it, you can fix it. And that's why today I hope it's entertaining. I hope I can inspire you. I hope I can motivate you. But my goal is to have you leave that door with at least 2 repeatable, predictable processes that you can repeat when you get out of here. And one of them is going to be around trust. I'm tired of telling people, okay, go in there and get them to trust you. Okay, no. Let's process trust. And then the most important thing I learned in my years at Xerox and what kept me in business for 22 years with a clicker in my hand is I talk about urgency. I know these dealers that you're meeting with think it'd be a good idea. They may get around to it. What you're saying's good. But I don't have time for objection handling today. So let's do it now in 2 seconds. What do you think the biggest reason why people object, not just for you, but for copier jocks like me, for insurance salesmen like me? I was a New York Life agent for a few years. For all those companies you saw up there and 50 more. What do you think the biggest objection is? It's all the same in a sense. Ready? Fear of change. This is the way we do it. You keep jumping on this side of the line, telling me what all these great ideas. I haven't even made a decision, a commitment to change. And that fear of change is huge. Urgency, we're going to move them over that line. We're going to get the best strategy we can. We come out of that, I'm a mental agility guy. I think that a lot of times we've been trained, but sometimes we've got to not just tell you, here's the tactic, but here's a way of speeding up the mind so you can utilize these tactics. Because I don't think there's a person in here who hasn't heard some of the fundamentals of selling. And yet, why don't we do some of the things we're supposed to do? Because we can't think quickly enough, and when we can't think, it's like going on a date. If I can't think quickly enough, I'm going to tell you about me, okay? Because that one I know. We got to work our way through that. So I'm going to put you through a mental agility exercise. I'm going to set the bait right now and tell you I'm going to take 10 volunteers. There'll be a competition up here to see who's the quickest in this room, and the winner will win something very special. So there will be an opportunity to prove your mental agility, but that's to come. Then we're going to do a role play. Actually, we're going to do 2. That style exercise is going to be a role play. Twice we're going to role play in here. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to sell some things. And we get done with that, I'm going to finish with what I call the criteria stage, which is, I told you, I'm a guy that likes to take measurements. I don't want to look at my client and go, kind of looks like they're ready for change, I want to figure out what questions I can ask to prove it's time for me to offer solutions. I want to take the guesswork out. So we're going to put some trial closes in there that I think you'll like. That's the game plan. That's where we're going. And when we're done, I think not only are you going to learn some ideas that are going to help you on the job, I think this is going to help Toyota, and I think it's going to help you personally, because this wasn't written just for the banks or the Toyota or all the different companies I work for. This is the way people make decisions. If you have children, if you have friends, all of them, sometimes we need to help them change their minds. So let's talk about influence versus manipulation. I know there's a lot of people here. I don't mind if you shout it out at me if you can think, but there's that weird, if you look at the books that are in front of you, you're going to see How to Change Minds, The Art of Influence Without Manipulation. So what's the difference between influence and manipulation? And while you're working on it, I'm going to tell you how I came up with it. I made it up. Authors are allowed to do that. Then we get copyrighted and somebody says, well, Jolles said it, so it's true. So I'm going to give you my definition. Yours might be just as good. What's the difference? Intent? Is that what I heard over there? Yeah. Intent. Seriously, the process doesn't really change. One of the issues that the publisher had with me when we were working on that book was how many times and how long I spent in that book saying, please use this for good, not evil. In other words, if I could show you a way today to change somebody's mind, would you do it for good, or if you do it so it helps the client, it's good. If you do it so it helps you, it's manipulation. That's the thin razor line, but there's no two processes, just one. So to me, the litmus test for influence versus manipulation is, first, this whole process we talk about has to be applicable to all. Can't just be for your industry or people in Sector 7 or whatever we're looking at. It has to be applicable to all, and it is. I work with hospitals, nurses, doctors. I've trained 750 polygraph examiners, over 1,000 hostage negotiators. I go all around the world, and everybody starts with, well, you don't know our industry, boy. And all right, tell me, it's really applicable to all. It's the art of persuasion.